Hey, what's up, YouTube? It's Richie from Boston. We are a couple of minutes late, but we are on it. It's the 25th. It's July. It's 2019, or at least that's what they want us to think. YouTube? It's Richie from Boston. Oh, for the love of God. Stand by, because I am absolutely effing myself here. Okay, we're good. Let me start that all over again. I love the fact that YouTube took away the ability to mute the watch screen first, as well as taking away the ability for your video to follow one of your videos, etc., etc. But apparently we've got an app for that. We got a lot of people in the chat right now, so that's pretty badass. We have people like Broken Reality, Method Marine. They've got the wrench. Nez Lover's got the wrench. Jesse James is in the house with the wrench. We're trying to get a hammer. Wrench is lame. We'll get a hammer. The Huntsman, Human Boy, John Boy, Scott Robinson, Will Harper, Calamity Rain. That is very clever. Little Miss S, Inertia Air, Archangel Warrior, Handsome Truth 33, Truth in You, Linda J, Andrew Potter has the wrench. What's up, brother? Not a space agency, indeed. Brandon Morgan, PlayStation, Brian Stavely, what's up, brother? Notorious DIP, Melissa A, Truther, Mandy Ash, I'm running out of gas here. Erin James, Frankie Aponte, Royal Forest, Delissa Fry, and everybody else. Awesome. I am joined tonight again by Photohelix and Dave from Deep Inside the Rabbit Hole YouTube channel. I did a intro video on the other channel, the main channel, and I left links to those. I'll leave links afterwards. We are going to try as hard as we can, but all of us have been frantically detoxing from fluoride any way we possibly can, but it makes the memory short, as does age. First, Photohelix has been on here a million times, so let's bring out Deep Inside the Rabbit Hole. I haven't heard from him on this channel ever, even though we were supposed to. What's up, brother?
Hey, Richie. Thanks for having me, man. Good to see you.
Anytime, man. Anytime. I'm digging that map that you got behind me. This picture, Dave, in case you haven't listened to one of the live streams, that is not a penis with sperm cells. That is actually the Great Serpent Mound from the air. I actually got 4K video. I've been there a few times, etc. Somebody sent it to me. So just in case you're curious, I thought I'd put that out there.
All right.
All right.
Cool.
And we also have the always very shy, hard to speak Photohelix hiding behind that creepy avatar. What's up, brother?
Hey, man. Can you see me? There we go. I've been fighting with my camera. I had it zoomed in where all you could see was my eyeball. Illuminati.
Well, you're not exactly movie quality, but I can see it. And I will attest that Photohelix has been wrestling with his camera, well, the entire time I've known him. So at some point, somebody's got to win. But anyway, the topic tonight, and I think everybody can contribute big time. We've tried to do this a bunch of times, and we never actually got quite to it. And I'm sure we won't now, but we're going to try. NASA, Jet Propulsion's lab, Storm Area 51, and how the mainstream, the military, the Pentagon, everybody is pushing, first of all, Storm Area 51. It doesn't even make any sense, but I think I know why. And then suddenly, all of a sudden, just like with chemtrails, they completely flip. They've been denying it my entire life, but now suddenly the Navy's coming out, pilots are coming out, the Pentagon's coming out. Everybody's talking about aliens. Dave, this smells like an enormous setup to me because me, you, Photo, we all know that to have aliens, you'd need outer space, unless, of course, they were something completely different. What do you think? You're muted, homie.
I'm so dyslexic. I mute when I'm supposed to, when I'm talking, and don't.
It's all
mute
good.
when
It's
I'm
all good.
Trying to be quiet. It's just like the moon landings. You know, they did that to make us think we live on a ball. First, the logistics of getting to Area 51. What are they going to get? Like a shit ton of buses to take us in? It makes no sense. The number of people that are signed up for it. In my mind, what I think is if they can fake this, like they fake all these other hoax events. They can, maybe the government will come out and fake admit, you know what, you caught us. We have something, you know, and just push that alien presence, you know, get that out there. Like, hey, you know, all these people are here. we're going to tell you, yes, there's aliens. And then if that floats, if AI tells them, hey, the world's buying it, that sets them up for their fake alien invasion. I say 1 year to the day after they do that, they'll do the fake alien invasion. That's just my opinion.
Well, that's definitely one way to look at it, because a lot of people have been drawing that same conclusion. But honestly, between the both of you, do you think these guys are ready? Do you think they get the technology ready? And before you answer, remember this. In 2017, when Dr. David H. Keith from Harvard University came out and said, we're not spraying the sky, but we're going to start, and we're going to do it exactly like the way we denied we were doing it for years, but we're going to do it to save everyone from global warming and bounce the sun back into outer space. Right there and then, I said, barium, strontium, aluminum are great heavy metals if you want to make an enormous movie screen in the sky and use some of the technology that they have to fake holograph, as well as some of the hard stuff like what we're looking at right now. You know what I'm saying? You think they're ready?
Can I chime in?
Have at it, brother.
English guest's point of view. I don't want to say I disagree specifically, because I'm not sure that I do 100%. But I wanted to make a point about this, sort of staying on that track for a minute about the Area 51 and, hey, let's rush in there and get them, And the outcome, from the chaos we get, the outcome is what we're looking at happening down the road. Whether it's alien agendas or blue beams or whatever the concept. But as it is right now, because it started as a joke, ultimately, the original poster about this, hey, let's go see, we can see them there aliens, or see us some aliens. I can't remember the exact wording, but it made a hit at the Southern dialect, I think. But ultimately, all of a sudden, it goes viral and everybody jumps on board with this thing now. We're going to storm Area 51 and see us some aliens. And Area 51 is an Air Force base. That's a fact of reality. But the closest you can get from the border, like those signs that he's showing you there where it says restricted area, no trespassing. Folks, you go out there, you get shot, you step over that boundary. They got lookouts all over the place out there. So that's the first concept. Maybe we can have a real quick show of another ranch incident, or have some people come out there, maybe in a population reduction of the idiots that would really go. If you got an armed force and you want to go out there with some tanks and maybe a couple of bazookas or something, I'm saying, hey, that might be the way to go, because now you've just declared war on the United States Air Force, which is, that's not going to go well. But
not at all.
There are enough people out here that maybe we're going to do this. This is like the stand down at one of the ranches. We're going to help Indians, or we're going to see some aliens. Really, honest to God, really. Here's the thing, folks. You can't get, even if you cross that step line, that border right there at the restricted area, no trespassing beyond this point. You can step across that point. You can climb over the thing. It's not like they're going to cap you in the head first shot. Or maybe it depends on how many of you they are, supposedly. But you picture the old zombie movie where everybody's rushing the wall, all the zombies rushing the wall, and you got some sharpshooter up there just one head at a time. That's all it takes. So here's the thing. You get all these people hyped up. They're going to do something to go against the government. We're going to make a statement. We're going to take back our freedom of right. Man, once you cross the line, it's still another 15 miles through harsh desert conditions, not knowing the security setup or the guide points. And still 15 miles to get to the base before you see the first thing of concrete. You're going to make it 15 miles through the desert? Half of you'd fall without the first shot. It's the truth. Why are people so arrogant and ignorant enough to think, hey, we're just going to run out there because we're all ex-Navy SEALs. We're going to make it through the desert in about 3 miles in. 3 miles. Most people I know don't walk a mile. 3 miles in, your cell phones start going out. What happened? There's a magnetic force. Or maybe they're testing new weaponry. Or maybe they're just getting ready to cap your butt.
Or
3 miles if you make it. Go ahead.
What a better spot to pull off another hoax event. They do these, I don't want to name them, but these, hoax events that we're aware in the middle of towns, and they get away with all of this fakery. This could be fakery out there. They can do another standoff. They could even say some people were shot. You shoot some people. Now it becomes the whole thing in the news, aliens, 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 and AI is watching to see if people are buying it.
Now, do you want me to tell you what
I think the fact that Dave just brought in AI as this is a homework assignment. This is a real world event for AI to analyze. And I mean, when we're talking analyzing it, it's analyzing it at a quantum level. Like we can't even
zap.
Boom, boom. I mean, we already years ago, all of us have done videos on how AI was fitted to Bradley fighting vehicles, to F-18s, to aircraft carriers. AI actually has the ability to control all the mechanical stuff. Do you know what I'm saying?
Do you remember they had the exercise? Do you remember they had that exercise? Jade Helm, that's right. And it was all AI control.
That was one of the first things they did on this channel.
You let them get popped like little laser zaps, like a mosquito gun hitting mosquitoes or something. Give the concept. It says zap, zap, zap. And then everybody's going to be like, they really do have alien technology because they've electrocuted everybody out there with lasers or whatever. Here's the point. Here's the main thing. Let me make this point and then y'all talk amongst yourselves. Here's the thing. No, regardless of what the concept, whether they're trying to get a bunch of idiots to run out here, or whether they're really trying to get it ready so they can pull off an agenda, and there is an agenda at this. But ultimately, not only could the agenda be to get all of the people who worked on social media to go out there and meet up in one place to attack the United States government all at once, well, then that means we're going to have to start censoring that media source. If everybody's on Facebook saying we're going to go at 9:25 and everybody's going to be there, well, okay, so everybody meets up to go. Well, now they know everybody on this main source, so they have an excuse to cut more of our social media. Final point. The reason I think, because the media itself, the mainstream media, is jumping on this thing like it's gold, best thing since sliced bread, we say down here. Is it possible that the whole thing, regardless of whether people show or don't, the whole stage, the whole concept that's being promoted in the media, in all the different little lines of text and socializing, isn't it possible that it's just say, here, look in the left hand, see my glasses? You look in the left hand as I go like this and turn my arm up where you can't really see them. And then once I turn my arm to watch the left hand because they go away. Now, everybody knows it was a distraction. The concept is if you're watching what they're doing out here at Area 51, helping to hype the alien agenda, because everybody believes there's an alien gray out there laying down half autopsied, and maybe they're getting help from the big guys. Regardless, is this not the greatest time to take our eyes off of what's actually taking place with them spraying everybody, or with the war situation, or the different fronts, or the attacks out in the ocean about them Iran taking a supposedly London fuel tankers over to the side, and there's all this talk back and forth between nations of war. And is it possible that most of this is just a test in distraction more than anything?
What do you think of that, Dave?
Yeah, it definitely is a distraction. But first, they can just use the active denial system to stop anyone from coming down that hot road anyway. Even without the active denial, he's right. It's hot. It's dry. People aren't going to bring water. There's no porta potties out there. Forget about it.
No joke, man.
Yeah. So on top of that, you know how whenever whenever there's an event, there's always a drill that preceded it, right? Whether it was the same day or days before, they always have a drill. And the reason they do that is because while they're having the drill, AI is watching and they're saying, hey, people are seeing this drill. It's a drill. They do it 50 more times, drill, drill, drill. And then an event like SH is happening and they're like, nobody's watching. Take it live. Okay. And that way it goes live because nobody is aware of it. The fact that we're talking about this right now could cause it not to happen, right? There's no way for us to win. They do these drills, and they only take them live when nobody's caught on, and AI is telling them in real time. So, if anyone discovers something and it gets out there enough, it could mean that it doesn't happen, and you can never be proven right or wrong on that.
Well, I agree, because for all the crap that all of us have gotten over the years for talking about, big time drills that the information slipped out and then they never come to fruition, these guys watch us because these guys are censoring us to almost non-existence. And that's just a fact. You know what I mean? Without a doubt. But there's so many, the thing that gets me is all three of us know that if they didn't want this information out on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, they can stop it because they censor all of us like that. It's easy for them. They've got all the algorithms in place. You know what I'm saying? A few smart people have figured out the way around that. We'll talk about that later. But I mean, they could shut this down, and they're doing the exact opposite. Hollywood people are stepping up. There's guys on here, and I mean, I follow some of these guys, but they're making jokes about, bring your primary weapon and water and all this stuff, and they're not getting hit. Like that right there, there's a reason that Russia, China, all these other axis of evil countries don't attack Area 51, because Area 51 was denied forever. The technology that the United States has is no joke. So for a bunch of people, and if they say by the time this comes about, it could be up to 2.5 million. If a tenth of those people even show up in that same state, I can't even imagine what the ramifications are going to be. It's going to be an enormous distraction. It could be like Kent State on steroids. But I think the primary thing is going to be, you see what happens? We gave these guys rope. Now they want to be cowboys. Look what happened with social media. They start a little joke, and now national security is at risk. Do you know what I'm saying? There's so many aspects to this. But Dave, again, bringing in the AI and using this as a real life training thing with a bunch of alien believing folks, it's perfect, man.
They're close. I mean, if you go talk to the average person on the street and say, if you had to put down $100 right now, and the truth on aliens is going to come out, people are going to say, yeah, there's aliens. 9 out of 10 people, I think, believe that have been brainwashed into believing there are aliens. Now, just real quick, without getting off topic, aliens and extraterrestrials. Some people say aliens are demons. I'm not denying that or anything. But when people think aliens, they think beings from outer space. When I think aliens, I think extraterrestrials. Beings from outer space are people or beings from the extra territory, extraterrestrial in the outer spaces across the Earth plane. So do I believe that maybe Area 51 is where they captured something from the outer space across our plane? Possibly. Don't know.
It's funny because before this started, I pulled up Babylon Working, where Aleister Crowley, L. Ron Hubbard, Jack Parsons, while they were doing the Trinity testing, they brought in a massive sarcophagus for no better reason. And it was 25 tons of steel. And inside it, they had a golem, a lifeless form. And they were trying to use the energy from the atomic blast or whatever those actually were. And they were trying to animate it. And people there, I can't find the information on the internet anymore, but it was around, and I'm sure you guys heard of it. They claimed that for a moment, the veil around us between this and the other dimension that we're not supposed to mess with was torn, and something flew in. Right after that happened, then Roswell happened, and then everybody was seeing UFOs to this very day. And it all started right out there. So who knows, man? Honestly, I just find it strange. I did pull up Babylon Working, and now I can't find it. So that's odd.
Just to add to what he was saying about the idea of intraterrestrial or extraterrestrial, rather. This is, again, just my opinion from my perspective, because I'm sure there's people out there, and it's not to say one of us is correct all the way or one of us is not correct all the way. It's just the point that we need all these views. Everybody's got a piece of the puzzle, so we throw everything we got on the table. And then once it's all on the table, we can mix it and match it however we need to get to the point of the picture. But ultimately, I believe it's more, and probably leaning like Richie, about interdimensional concepts in this realm where we can't see, you know, where they now calling that invisible space dark matter because, well, you know, the gluons and all, you get the picture. But ultimately, I believe that it's more interdimensional. These spirit beings or
I'm 100% with you. I believe that there are, as a spiritual realm here, that the elite are interacting with, and all of the stuff that Richie talks about with the quantum computer. That's one thing. Extraterrestrials are another thing. That's it. Together, that's we're dealing with interdimensional things that we don't even have words for, and we're dealing with beings that we're unaware of on this plane from areas that we don't have access to.
I agree 100%.
Maybe
Sounds
there's some
we're on the
below
same
us.
page.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I gotta tell you, it seems like through every old ancient text that speaks about stuff like this or alludes to it, Nephilim, giants, fallen angels, demons, whatever you want to call them, they've always been imprisoned in a desert underground. And you know, the Vatican has their Lucifer telescope out there in that same ballpark. It seems like there's a lot of crazy gateways. And I don't know if you're aware of this or not, Dave, but I go out there a lot searching for petroglyphs, and I found them.
I'm aware.
They're everywhere. Six fingers, 6 toes, horns, and there's always a spiral in the back. Some of the petroglyphs are just, you know, dude, his wife, 2 goats. You know what I'm saying? But almost all of them show a serpent, an enormous figure with horns, a spiral in the background, and something horrible happening to the people.
What about the area? I'm sorry, the area in the Grand Canyon that has Egyptian stuff in it.
I talk about that. You know, trying to find that. So you know, you're old school. That information used to be on the internet when they did the first wave. They found a chamber down there, and once again, the Smithsonian swooped in. They found a chamber in there that had sarcophagus. It had everything you would find in Egypt in there, but we discovered America. Do you know what I'm saying? It's totally crazy. And to me, in my opinion, I mean, this is just based on what I've seen out there. When the earth got flooded, the windows of heaven opened and the water sprung forth. That's where you got the Grand Canyon, because that's exactly what it would look like. You know what I mean? But I digress. Photos. Almost biting the microphone. He's ready to say it. Spit it, brother.
Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say that what I've come to realize in the last just like couple of years is anything older than 150 years ago is unverifiable. Our history is a bigger lie than I ever could imagine it was. So, you know, when they say people have known the earth is a globe for 500 years, baloney. In 1900, everyone knew the earth was flat. It only changed in the early 1900s, and they've rewritten history that fast. So good.
Yeah, a lot of people think that. And it's funny. I don't know. I'm sure you know this, but I pulled up there was a bunch of scientists, Austria, England, Germany, etc., that were coming forth with the idea that the moon was a plasma, and they were trying to prove it, and they were being interviewed, etc., and then
saw that interview.
Magically, all of a sudden, in 9 months flat, we come up with the technology. We go to the moon once, twice, thrice. No big deal. That whole thing's discounted. Nobody talks about it anymore. I don't believe.
Richie,
go ahead.
I think that the flat Earth information actually slipped out a little more than they wanted, and now they're backpedaling a little bit. But I agree, they can shut it down, you know, when they want, and they're really doing a good job of it now. Reason they're hiding the flat Earth is nothing would have woken me up to the creator. Nothing. I wouldn't even listen to anybody. But I discovered forcefully that the Earth was not a spinning ball. And then I realized, okay, it's flat and it's intelligently designed. And that has changed my life. Now, you know, instead of when I hear some Bible or the full armor of God, I would normally have turned that person off, deleted blocked them on YouTube, never seen them again. Now, that's all I want to listen to. I want to hear what people are saying. I want to learn more every day. And that's what they're afraid of, because if you wake up to the deception no longer works on you. People say, you know, you bring up the event in New York, the event in Connecticut, the event, you know, in New Zealand. You bring up all this stuff and And then the flat earth, and people say, well, there's nothing I can do about it anyway. I have to go to work tomorrow, and I have to make a living. That's the deception. When you wake up and realize that you're consenting by not saying no, you're giving them the power and you are making yourself the slave. They can't take that from us. That's the deception. And if people woke up to the flat earth, they'd realize there's a creator, they'd figure all of this out, and the elite would be done. So that's why they hide it so much.
And the funniest thing, all three of us have heard this from people so many times, especially the guys that are shaking their heads going, you guys are so stupid. It's the stupidest thing I've ever heard, et cetera, et cetera. Why would they do this? Why have they always been in charge of this earth, whether they're completely robbing, raping, and pillaging in the name of whatever God they're claiming at the time, or they're just completely disassembling the planet like they are right now? The planet means planet, means plane.
Plane.
So,
Richie,
they're destroying the air, the water, the food, the people. They're just destroying everything.
Have they been in control forever, or is it maybe only the last 120, 150 years that they took control?
I don't know. Honestly, I don't believe anything that my grandparents before they passed away didn't tell me. And that's the other thing. That's the reason they gave us all this technology, because now they can manipulate history that much easier. Oral tradition is out the window. People don't even talk when they're in the same room. They text.
People don't realize that the evidence is right in front of them. You're in Boston. You have some amazing cathedrals there. Some buildings there that were built in the 1800s that we'd have difficulty building today. And we're supposed to believe that the pilgrims built them, with horses and buggies back then. I mean, that's the date on these buildings.
I try to explain it to people like you just said. The Native Americans built all these massive monuments that we can't reproduce right now, and they line up perfectly with astrological signs, et cetera, et cetera. They still stand to this day, and elites show up on certain dates every year when no one's around, and they worship there. If you've ever gone camping, just take food, a knife, and a tarp, all right? And a tarp is a luxury, and then try to live. You're fighting off, and you're fighting to live. You don't have time to build all these amazing cathedrals because life was hard back then, man. There wasn't an app for that. Do you know what I'm saying? You didn't walk into the grocery store and grab stuff. You took a cow and you turned it into dinner. Do you know what? It's totally different ball game. That's why I don't believe any of that stuff. So yeah, on that, I'm with you, brother.
It's these buildings. They can't be built today. And you look at them, and a lot of them, the basements are buried. There's windows underground. Something happened. And then you'll see a picture of a muddy road with a bunch of kids, a horse and buggy, and this was built before they got there. There was something else here. These people moved in to those buildings.
He's going mud flood on this. I can hear it coming.
I'm not going mud flood. I'm going on our history is not what they told us.
I'm busting your balls, brother. It's all good.
All right, can I chime in for a second? From where I first was going to make a point, you guys, it's a good thing the earth might be flat, because otherwise you'd have lost me over the curve. You guys have been everywhere. I didn't get to make a point. I just want to jump back. No, I'm enjoying this. This is great. Wanted to make a point, though, back about this whole concept of the interdimensional, the titles, aliens or demons, right? One of the things I think we have to come to grips with in our studies as far as looking into all of these different things. One of them concerning things like, the old religions or ancient religions that we do know of, that we have a date back. I don't know how far back most of them go, other than what we're wrote about and what we're told. But much of the stuff that was carried on was in the Indian nations. And the Navajo people, they have their belief systems, and if you look at some of their prophecies, the Navajo talks about the cobwebs in the sky, which is related, I think, to more of the chemtrails, that kind of thing. But we also see they have certain interjections.
Jay, say that again. The cobwebs in the sky. Can you expand on that just a touch?
The Navajo Indians, they have one of their prophecies talks about toward the end of days that there would be cobwebs in the sky that would cover the sky, which are, if most Navajo, if you talk to the elders or those that are still in that religious aspect of it, relate that, the cobwebs in the sky, to what we see now as chemtrails and what we call chemtrails. But on that same point of that group, they have different kinds of artifacts and different I don't want to say superstitions necessarily, because there's a lot of people that are in high positions that have come forward to even give evidence to. But they have one of their things, they call it the skinwalkers, okay? People hear about that a lot. And if you look into that, most of it's probably garbage, and a lot of it's make-believe, I think, in people's imaginations. There's been movies and books written about the skinwalkers. But in the ancient Navajo belief, this is where witches, people that studied witchcraft and worked in that kind of form, dealt with demons, basically, dark things. And they can literally become whatever that skin of whatever animal, like in this case, maybe a coyote or something, out in the desert, but they're called skinwalkers. And there's a whole place given to, it's supposed to be one of the most supernatural, where they've got UFO hotbed and all kinds of things going on at the Skinwalker Ranch. Interestingly enough, when talked to some of the actual people that have been there, that have witnessed certain things, they've got some concocted stories, I'm sure, that are a little blown out, but some of them really take time to look into. And if you talk to the true Navajo out there, you find out that this is a true belief where people are dabbling with what they call demons, and what we would refer to as the same. In certain religions, they're referred to as jinn, trickster type devils and demons, and that kind of thing. And so when we're looking into this whole concept of UFOs or demonology and whether or not aliens are demons, we can't just look at the man's perspective or man's agenda as to how they're going to try and play that card, but we also have to look at the facts of reality. We know reality is malleable. We know we live in a very molecular type world, a microcosm versus the macrocosm. And when we look out there, what we can see, up above us, really anything that we can't reach with our naked hands or eyes up there is pretty much for speculation, whether it's the heavenly hosts or different debris or whatever the case may be. Water, I mean, we've got all these different concepts. But ultimately, are these things real? Do these things take place? Are there demons? Well, there's been a rise. I mean, look all over the webs, not just YouTube, but I mean all over. And get some of the stories where there's demon possession that's taking place, and some are referring it to aliens, and some are saying they were playing with magic or dark magic. There's voodoo, that's a big thing, and all of these things are taking place right now, exercising what we would refer to as interdimensional beings. Those things that are just out of our sight, but can be conjured up. Look at Aleister Crowley, for example. And what did Aleister Crowley draw as the guy that he knew? He said he called him Lamb, L-A-M, all capital letters, but when you look at it, it looks like it's a capital L, it looks like a capital I. It looks like I am. But he was called Lamb, and that was Aleister Crowley. And how many people in the elite follow his teachings? Do as thou wilt. And the picture he drew looked like the alien gray with the big head. That was the one he was praying to in his black magic dark circles and sacrificing to and getting information. This big round head with black eyes, just like the alien abductions we see today. And ask any Christian who's ever had any experience, and they rebuke it, and it goes away. I don't know. I'll give it back.
Richie, you there?
Yeah, he picks a terrible time to stop talking. I mean, really? But at any rate, this is what he was referring to right here. This is the picture that Aleister Crowley drew a long time ago before anyone saw a gray. And then coincidentally enough, after doing Babylon working, everybody's seeing a gray. Long story short, and I've always kind of thought this, if you look at an atomic explosion or any of the testing that they present to us, every time it looks like, I mean, I did a video on it like a week ago. Every time it looks like an enormous bubble underwater, and it looks like they're just trying to tear the veil. You know what I mean? Because I still have a hard time with the fact that we dropped atomic bombs on Nagasaki and Hiroshima, but yet they're thriving communities today and have been for a long time.
The businesses and trains opened up 3 days later. Does that sound like a nuclear bomb?
You know what I mean? Because, I mean, look at Chernobyl, look at 3 Mile Island, look at all the places that we allegedly trashed with nuclear. Nobody can go there, or nobody does go there. It seems like it would be a strange thing to sacrifice that large of a part of your city for nothing, or Fukushima for that.
There's people that live in Chernobyl to this day that are completely fine. Plants and animals thriving there. Did you know that Chernobyl happened 1 year to the day after the release of the China syndrome?
Negative. I did not know that. You see?
Year to the day.
It's not just flat Earth. Earth brings it all to the table.
By the way, it's because I lots of this information I get from other people and verify it. So it's not all me. You know, we all share information. So if I say something that I got from Crow 777 or from you, you know, I don't want to take full credit for it. I'm just sharing what I've gathered.
It's all good, brother. I'm not. We're all just assholes with laptops trying to figure it out. That's all there is to it. You know what I mean?
That is the truth.
So, honestly, I cannot see this whole Storm Area 51 thing as anything good. And if any of us are right, we'll probably never get a chance to talk about it afterwards because, like you said, I'm so glad. I mean, I cannot believe that it didn't even dawn on me that this could be Jade Helm. We're all running around. I was out in my truck trying to videotape this, like on the road, sending footage to Professor Doom. Anybody remember him? Yeah, he went horribly wrong. He went off the rails really bad. At any rate, it happens. You know, what are you going to do? It turns out from the best people I could find that work in this field that Jade Helm was simply special forces running around that entire area trying to hide from AI. And apparently they weren't all that successful. That's what that whole thing was, man. Even all of us freaking out and everybody, it was all input. It was all food for the AI. And I would imagine this probably will be too. But I can't help but think they're going to use it as the opportunity to further censor us, if not just shut us down. Just us, not everybody. Just us.
It's data for AI. It's conditioning people to, like, you know, start thinking about Area 51 again. If an incident happens there, it'll be all over the news. Area 51, Area 51. They're trying to get the truth. The government's hiding the truth, and they're going to play it to the way where they can convince people, okay, there is some sort of aliens. They can't pull the fake alien invasion until enough people, which is the vast majority, absolutely believe there are aliens. It's how they condition us. If they pulled that event in New York without all of the pre-programming of those two pillars disappearing, people might not have bought it. People might not. You have to program. There's like nothing new under the sun. Well, they're trying to create these things in our minds so we can come to these foregone conclusions. If they fake an alien invasion and people don't believe in aliens, it's not going to work.
Yeah, you're right on it, man. That makes perfect sense. Because, I mean, for as many people that will believe in a spaceship flying millions of miles, millions of light years, simply to come down here and talk to the scum of the earth, because if these guys are as intelligent as they claim they are, the people that run everything are usually the worst, most depraved, most backstabbing, warmongering scumbags there are. They would just drop down and say, hey, we're here. You guys just shut up. Your tanks don't work on us. Whatever. You're trashing your planet. Really bad.
They count on people being lazy and not actually thinking about the numbers that they throw out there. A trillion, you know, people hear a trillion, you know, where it's $27 trillion in debt, or it's it's 400 trillion miles away, the North Star, or whatever the number is. People don't understand the concept of a trillion. Do you know how long 1 trillion years is, Richie? How long is 1 trillion years?
It's a billion.
No. I'm sorry. 1 trillion seconds. How long is that?
Oh, come on, man. I don't know all the different answers.
I
told you. I'd ask him.
1 trillion seconds.
Dave, you froze, home.
1,000 years.
Say that again.
Yeah, you froze
and
up.
People
Dave.
talk.
Tell you.
1 trillion seconds is 31,000 years. Okay, and people will say no, it's not, and they won't even go check. Do the math. A billion seconds is 31 years. A trillion is 1,000 billions, 31,000 years. The math is simple. 1 trillion. So they're talking things that are trillions of miles away. Utter nonsense. Utter
But
nonsense.
Dave, at one time I heard you in an interview where you claimed to be a doctor. I mean, you let everybody off the hook, but you were making the point that what people hear, and it was really well done by that.
Thank you.
I
I'll tell people what I did. And I say truth is very difficult. You have to read, you have to listen, you have to spend time. Lies are easy. I can tell you something and you can go, oh, and now, okay, cool. And now you got the rest of your life free to do whatever you want because you don't have to do that. But I told everybody at the beginning, Richie, that I went to medical school for 7 years. And then I realized allopathic medicine was nonsense. I dropped out and I took a whole other path and everyone believed me. 2 minutes later, I said, by the way, I didn't go to medical school, but I'm showing you how people are trusting. People don't want to do the work. Because if you wanted to figure it out, you have to say, okay, where does he live? Where did he go to school? Now I got to call the school. Now you're 3 days into research and you find out I never went to that school. And nobody wants to do that. People just want to go, oh, okay, good.
Now with saying all of that, that sort of goes back to the point I was making earlier about.
I'm a doctor.
Well, I'm sorry. Oh, not. I don't know. Two laps ago. 2 laps ago. About the point of where we're expecting what 1 point something or 2 point something million people to show up out there to run against this base and all that. Man, most people can do a lot with their finger.
You couldn't get 2 million people to do something in Vegas that has the air traffic, that has the runways, that has the taxis and buses. You couldn't get 2 million people in the middle of Vegas to do it.
That's my point. You do good to get 100 people off their couch. I mean, it's just it's ridiculous.
But Dave, to your point earlier, they could completely say 500,000 people showed up and showed us a phenomenal Hollywood presentation. They've done it before and still say, well, that's in the people came and they saw alien, because who's ever going to know?
And they brought guns and they shot each other and, they can say anything they want.
Call to get people that are actually in the concept or the brain set for this type of agenda that might roll out. Maybe it's to get all those that would be a would-be threat somewhere down the road, given the right combination of situations, to actually show up out there. Bring your firearm and let's wave our flag. We're going in there to see an alien. And next thing you know, these people don't have to publish anything because anybody on camera could be taken out too. They could just say, all these people's gone, man. There's enough Mandela effects in the world to say, hey, the population's down in New York. Hey, guess what? It is out there where Area 51 is too. People vanish all the time.
All the time. I don't know how. I mean, all of us have heard the stories after every type of a calamity where the FEMA or Google barges show up. People get on them, and then one dude comes out and makes we've seen the videos. It's tough to prove, but it happens. It definitely happens, man. They made it illegal to feed homeless people. Like, they don't want people here. And I think that's why they turned everyone's moral compass inside out and got them to overbreed, because people are using abortion as contraceptives. That works for them right off the bat with the child sacrifice, because they've been doing that since time immemorial, or at least 150 years ago. You know what I'm saying? It's a big one. It's a big one. But all I'm saying is, if they didn't want people knowing about this, they'd shut it down, and they're not.
If we're going to look at the concept that there really are these things, whether we believe in interdimensional or intergalactic or interterrestrial or extraterrestrial or whatever you want to look at it, and there are proofs in more realms than one of many of these situations, whether it's the angelic or the fallen or so on and so on, the tricksters of the night. If we're really going to put all the pieces on the table, we have to really consider that concept and what would be the purpose. Maybe they are appearing to some as an alien form. Out of all the heavenly host, we haven't a clue just how God's creation really works. Whether they're in this range or that range. Our eyes, I say it all the time, we can't even hear a dog whistle. We only register certain frequencies within the color spectrum. So there's no way without goggles, you know, to see that green light, night vision, or the infrared that we see. And
oh my God. Dave, he wasn't listening when I told you that story about yesterday, right? Because now I'm going to tell it. Photo, you weren't in the chat yet. You jumped back out. I was telling Dave, and I'm like, I can't make a video about this because people are going to, I can't prove it. Yesterday, I'm riding my mountain bike real quick. The sun's just about ready to go down. And for whatever reason, the sun just happened to be yellow. So I started videotaping it. It's really far away. It's not hurting my eyes. I'm videotaping it with an iPhone. I actually uploaded that. But then I jump back on my bike and I start riding. And there's guys down there surf casting on the beach. And I'm riding up to this dude, a Spanish dude, and his face is totally green, like dark green. And I'm like, all right, maybe that's like to hide from the fish or camo or whatever. The closer I got, the worse it got. And then when I got right up on him, it was gone. And it kept happening to every person I saw because I was looking at the sun and it turned just their faces green. I'm starting to think like, oh my God, here we go. I'm living, they live right now. And I tried to videotape and it didn't show up. It went away. But to your point, the spectrums of light, the things that we can't see, the things that cats, dogs, and other things can see, the things that we can't hear. We've only got 5 senses, and there's way more going on. Do you know what I'm saying? Everything started with a word, a frequency, a vibration. We can't hear it, but it's there. And these guys are constantly messing. I mean, we're all swimming in a Wi-Fi soup right now. This is not the Schumann resonance we're supposed to be in right now whatsoever at all. You know what I'm? So I don't even know if I made my point.
I got your point. There's a lot of stuff that people can say is, oh my God, what am I going to do? You got 5G, you got, interdimensionals, you got this pedophilia stuff going on. You have the YouTube is just crushing truthers. All of this sounds real negative, but if you look at it and become aware of it, that's what you can do. But if everyone was aware of these programs and stopped giving consent, they wouldn't be able to do it anymore. Okay. That's the deception. People think that, we're trying to spread fear. This isn't about fear. This is about knowledge. Okay. Because when you become aware of this stuff, you can stop it. Right. But the first thing is to wake people up. So how do you wake them up? Do you smack them in the head? And, with the event that happened in September in 2001, do you go after them with flat earth? What is your specialty to wake people up? Because if you wake them up to one thing, they can wake up to the other. Go ahead.
Let me ask you a question. If you'll expound on what you just said. Once you become aware, you can stop it. Can you clarify that, or is that just maybe a mythical?
So, yeah, no, it's let me explain. So, they can't take our God-given rights. There's a thing. Some people call it God-given rights. Some people call it natural law. Okay, you're not allowed to take that from somebody without their consent. The problem is everyone's giving their consent because they're telling us, and people aren't saying no. Therefore, they're saying yes. That is consent in the elite's mind, whatever you want to call those beings. If you're aware and stop giving your power away, you have depowered them. They can no longer control you. And then people go, yes, they can. Absolutely, they can't. And we are in this society. I need cash to get around in this society. You need money to do things where we live, but there's ways to get away from that by being aware of these things. And the more people that are aware, the more power these people or these beings lose. See, we don't believe that people say, oh, they're doing it for money. Money is an illusion. Money is how they control us. They want money. They type numbers into a computer and there's $1 trillion.
I totally agree.
Yeah. So money is a complete and total illusion, but we give it value. We give it value. It's our faith in money that makes the world go round, which doesn't go round.
But consider these things, if you will.
Hold on. Go ahead.
There you are.
Yep.
Okay. If we know something, okay, whether it's the existence of flat versus round, or whether it's the situation with demons versus aliens, or is that all one conglomerate of a group? Bigfoot and Loch Ness and those kinds of things. Once we come to grasp in our mind that we believe this to be a truth, whether it's any of the things mentioned or whatever we've discussed thus far, mainly I'd like to stay on the topic of demons and aliens and that concept as far as what's going on with our media and how they're doing. And I think we're making great circles here and broad, but I think we're doing okay. Yes. Go ahead.
I think you're confusing the media is not talking about demons or aliens. They're talking about extraterrestrials. They may call them aliens, but they're talking about visitors from outer space.
I'm talking about us.
We're on it, brother. We're on it. We got it.
Okay.
We're covering it.
Yeah, us in this conversation, not necessarily the main.
Dave, he's saying that because we've tried this like 3 times and we went off. None of them were bad live streams, but we never actually covered it. I think we nailed it right out of the gate on this one.
Yeah.
And now we're all basically expanded.
As we go out.
As far as what Dave was saying about people saying fear, I get it all the time. But the thing is my subscribers and myself, we've already figured it out. At the end of the day, this isn't everything. You know what I mean? This body I'm in right now, there's a reason that it's falling to the laws of thermodynamics. It's falling apart because this ain't all there is to it. Energy never dies, and we're all energy.
Richie, let me ask you a question. With all that you know and surrounded by all the people that don't know, are you scared? Are you in fear? I don't think you are.
Oh, no, not at all. I get frustrated a lot in my daily life.
That's fine. That's fine. But do you actually feel more empowered than all of the sleeping zombies around you? Absolutely.
Yeah.
So
from what you said and what I took from what you said, just real quick, I'll make this quick, is if you're aware of what's going on, the mind control in every commercial, song, movie, every new product they put out, every new fad that pops up, you're aware of it. You see it for what it is, and you don't let it affect you as much as you can.
It's like knowing that if you know the magician's trick, the trick no longer works on you.
That's it.
And
That's it.
everything.
That's what all of us have been trying to do for the last several years. And
right.
the earth, the shape of the earth, that was a big one. And I'm glad you came around, man. Yeah. Because I didn't even believe, I was like, flat earth is ridiculous. It doesn't make any sense.
I think
I say this in every interview.
Let me say this, though, just to everybody. I mean, if there was fear, I don't think the 3 of us would be out here so blatantly putting our face out here with our stories to tell.
Because they have an app for that.
Yeah, I was actually I had some moments of fear. It's Jim Fetzer that outed me. I used to go by Deep Inside the Rabbit Hole. No one knew who I was. And then Jim Fetzer wrote an article with my name in it. And I was like, all right, I'm out. And that freed me. That freed me because now that I'm out, I'm saying what I believe, what I know. People say, do you really believe the earth is flat? My short answer is yes. But the real answer is I'm absolutely positive it's not a spinning ball flying through space.
Just
all evidence.
Giant rock with all of us on it and all the dirt and plants and trees and birds and bees floating in a vacuum. None of it makes any sense whatsoever.
Richie, it makes perfect sense. Nothing exploded and created everything.
Nothing exploded and turned into everything. That makes a perfect sense. Except
you ever see those orchids that need the special bee to go through it, where the orchid glues the pollen sacs of the bee, and then the next one takes it off? It's
Dude,
insane. That's a random.
You're not able to believe this, but I mean, you're just bringing up the most obscure thing. And I was just looking at a plant the other day that somebody imported, and it will not bloom unless ants come and eat the outer layer of it. How gross is that? But I mean, how crazy is that?
That's
this
awesome.
plant will not bloom unless this specific type of ant is also imported to eat the exterior of it, and then it blooms. That's crazy. But that was just evolution. We were all mud. That plant decided to be a plant. I was going to be a giraffe, but then I figured I'd be a short, fat Italian dude. You know, it worked out better. At any rate.
Amazing. Go ahead.
But I digress, right?
I digress, indeed.
So back to where I was at. I'm refereeing, right? You guys take me on these loops. I'm trying to get this up. Okay, so here's the deal, though. Really, even knowing what you know, Dave, from your life's experiences, okay. Still coming back to this question again, big circles, but we still want to come back to that point that we started on. I think that was be imperative for those watching, because I don't want to leave it unopened. Everything we're doing is giving them circles. They need to go research. Again, we know how people are. They're lazy. But it's push button, folks. You don't have to do a whole lot to get out there and learn. You just have to have a will to do it. But ultimately, once you do know what you know, whether it's a supernatural experience or whether it's the truth of mathematics and the flaws in that, those kinds of things that give us leniency to our own eyes to prove what we see is what we know. Have you experienced anything of a supernatural basis aside from the rocks and the planet and the geology? I'm talking about literally in that supernatural, those extraterrestrials or interdimensionals, or have you seen something or experienced something, or know someone maybe close enough that you would trust their word even, that you trust? I mean, have you experienced any of that yourself? The shadows in the corner passing and they're not there when you look, that kind of stuff?
What's that, Richie?
Have at it. You got an answer?
Yeah, I do have an answer. My answer is yes. I've had, and I don't know how to explain it, and I don't know what they are. I've had what I call shadow people hold me down in bed so I cannot move. And it was utterly terrifying until I realized that I could tell them I do not consent. And then I was freed.
That just happened to me 3 nights ago. And I kept rebuking them to hell in Jesus' name. And that hasn't happened. I made a video on this. Me and Nicholas in 1968 were talking. And neither one of us wanted to say it, but somehow it came out. We were talking about scrying mirrors and such. And then I finally did a video. He talked about it. When I made videos about all those holistic doctors, this is going back a few years, me and Erin Elizabeth, her phone started telling her, "You're going to die of cancer, Erin Elizabeth," to the point where she started making videos going, "Can anybody help me here?" The same time I started getting attacked. And my significant other at the time, she was a nurse at a huge hospital in Boston. And she was watching this happening every night. She's like, "You're not making this up." She's like, "I've never seen you so scared in your life." That's when I started completely talking about the full armor of God, and it went away. The other night, it happened again. But for the first time, I was actually able to say something, because these things hold you down. You can't even, I couldn't even speak. I couldn't formulate, like just say I couldn't say anything. I couldn't think anything. And it's horrifying. And then magically in the last few years, after they keep talking about, we're going to open a window, we're going to open a door to another dimension, things are going to come in, come out. Magically, they got this new thing called sleep paralysis that everybody's falling victim to. But it's no big deal. Everybody gets it. Nothing to see here, folks. Keep it moving. But long story short, without a doubt, Photo, I get that stuff more than I would like. Sadly.
Richie, no matter what we expose, they come up with some lame excuse. They just came out with a interview from NASA about how these certain frequencies out there are causing bubbles to form in space. So bubbles in space has been explained away with this that they're using frequencies, and they have to change the frequency to stop these bubbles from appearing around the astronauts floating. Utter nonsense. But the sleeping zombies are like, "Oh, that sounds good. That's
right.
why there's bubbles in space."
And the sleeping zombies don't even think about the fact that a bubble in outer space that is a vacuum, like none of this stuff. Yeah. Remember the YouTube kid that made a video showing that you couldn't ignite any type of a fuel in a vacuum?
Right.
And then apparently somebody knocked on his door and said, "Yeah, remember that 600 million views you got? You want to keep getting those? Change the story just a touch." And he did. But I mean, he proved it right there unwittingly. You can't, none of this works. There's a reason that they went to,
Richie,
they went to space in an aluminum can, a capsule, somehow turned it into a landing module, and then it turned into a capsule. And
I heard you say that the other day. That's
nobody's paying attention to that.
So here's something I got to ask you guys.
Go ahead.
Okay? Because I'm becoming the interviewer to Richie, the big man, and you. This is awesome, Dave. Really is great to talk to you. I do want to say that. Thank you. And thank you, Richie, for hosting this conversation. And as always, man, you're doing fantastic work here. That's out of the way now. Enough kissing up. Okay, so let's get to the nitty gritty. The man that they brought over here to help start, after they had all of these different nuclear tests, supposedly to pop a hole in the fishbowl, as it were, The guy that starts over here, Warner von Braun. I think everybody's pretty familiar with who Warner von Braun is.
Yeah, he's the guy that's on Disney Sunday nights when I was a kid with Walt Disney.
Yeah, telling the
showing
kids,
us the rockets.
That's right, teaching the kids about rockets to space.
Yep.
And I'm sure it had an impact on somebody like Elon Musk for sure, because they need a good spokesperson. But here's the deal, okay? You got this guy and his religious aspects, what he does behind the scenes. He's in the Church of Lucifer. He's in that satanic movement. And if you study in their stuff, they're following the Aleister Crowley or the D of yesteryear, and they're drawing their circles and the things that they do on the ground and they're using the holy names of God, interestingly enough. But these are people who bring forth spirits and dark entities, and to the best of their ability, they conjure and they believe it to be real. And some see very much, very real. Look at the Bohemian Club. I mean, it doesn't take far to look to really see they're really into this. As much as a Christian is into Christ, you see that these Satanists are into their God being the way. At the same time, though, this is the one who is Warner von Braun I'm talking about, following that kind of worship, believing that there is a God, a deity, and a Lucifer, fighting for the other side intentionally, believing the outcome there is going to be different than what's prescribed in many different prophecies. But ultimately, this is a guy who is lying to the public from the very get-go, like you said, on Disney, right? And he is creating these rockets, and along comes information bled out that there's other things in Antarctica and the Nazi program, and how Admiral Byrd went down there to discover aspects of Antarctica, and they have all of these shootouts with unidentified flying objects or some sort of craft. And then we look and see in Hitler's Nazi Germany, that they had already started working with these, dare I say, anti-gravity, because I'm more of an electrical deal. I like Tesla's theories. I'm not a gravity guy. Anti-gravity, things that would float and in saucer form. And all of that with the bell, which leads to the CERN project. All these things coming from that Nazi-esque kind of background and in this science research. Why wouldn't they lie? Because shortly thereafter, didn't NASA come out once the Antarctica visit went down and all of that happened? We have NASA now. The forked tongue of our society.
Photo, you muted yourself, brother.
That was to you, Dave. Did I get it all? How far have I been?
We lost the last 5 seconds. That's all.
Yeah, we lost.
I was giving it over to you. I wanted your opinion.
Nicely done. Nicely done. Like a the guy that waves the thing around and people sing songs or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, NASA.
But
NASA was created by Nazis, Freemasons, and magicians. Okay,
yep.
That's NASA. Hey, Richie, I saw you pulled up my my YouTube page. Is there no content on there? Here's the link in the chat if you need it. Well, yeah, what's going on with that?
Is my mic on? Yeah, I'm pulling. This is it.
If you hit videos, I have like 280 videos. Oh, there they are. There you go. Okay.
Yeah, you're good. This guy looks.
They've been doing some crazy stuff with my channel where I can only go back to a year and I can't see any other videos unless I log out.
Yeah, but you were telling me at the beginning of this that you had a way around that. You want to expand on that, or you want to wait till another time? It's your call.
Oh yeah. So when somebody says, hey, they ask you a question about flat Earth, we'll talk about flat Earth for now, and you send them a video, they'll watch the video, and then YouTube will autoplay a total propaganda piece that counters that video every time. And they'll just lay it on. Now, if you search for a specific name of a video and a channel, it comes up with garbage. You never get that video, and you get just pages and pages and pages of the worst anti-flat Earth propaganda. So what I do is I've created playlists on my channel and then I'll put the video in that playlist. I'll put it at the top of the playlist. I'll click the video and I'll take the URL and I'll send them the video. That way, all of the next videos are from my playlist.
like, why haven't I figured that out? Why am I so?
Yeah.
Because I needed a butler, dude. I'm serious. I needed like a butler or a tech dude or whatever.
So the other thing that I did, since you pulled it up, is
Well, I pulled this up because you showed me this earlier, and I saw this on a show that you were speaking on, and then I forgot about it. But this is pretty phenomenal, man, because it explains on your phone exactly how all this nonsensical bullshit we're talking about actually works.
yeah. So here it is. I have the time lapse going, and it shows the Earth and how it works. And if you look, the sun is just off the hour hand. You know why? Because they have us in fake time right now to throw us off kilter. They have the hour hand an hour, at least in America. They have the hour hand an hour ahead of where it should be. So I have the sun trailing it. But for the other half of the year, go ahead.
Explain that, because I just heard what you just said. I've been thinking about it, but I can't figure out how to say it in a video. What do you mean they have us in fake time? Because if it's what I think it is, I agree. Because why wouldn't they?
Time has to do with where the stars, sun, and moons are. The sun does the days, the moon does the months, and the stars are the perfect clock for the years. Because on July 2nd, a year later, the stars are in the exact same position they were, even though we've traveled billions of miles in 6 different directions. They're right where they were. So right now they have us in daylight savings time, because if you cut, an hour off the end of the day and tack it to the beginning of the day is somehow longer, which is bullshit. But the sun is not, this is the true position of the sun. So if I stop the time lapse, for me, or for everybody, well, I'm down at the bottom. That's where the sun is. Okay. The sun takes 24 hours to go around. And that's why a clock is 24 hours. They just cut it into 2 12s. But if you have a 24-hour clock, which is what this is, it shows you exactly where the sun is. Does that make sense?
So this is an app that you can get. This is an app that you made.
Yeah, it's an app, and it has a ton of stuff in it.
That's what I need. I need a smart butler that can use shit like
this. When you're talking flat Earth with somebody and you show them you're talking to them, then you break out the app, they go, oh, that's how it works. You see the inner yellow line is the Tropic of Cancer. When the sun is on that, it's the inner northern hemiplanes summer, because the sun is close. And the people that are inside the Arctic Circle can see the sun all day and night because it never gets far away from them. And then 6 months later, it moves out to the outer yellow line, which is the Tropic of Capricorn. The outer lands have their summer, and we have our winter because it's far away from us.
Well, I'm gonna screen share the page where people can get that app, because I didn't even know that was a thing till you told me about it. I had no clue, but I'm getting it because I can't make it. That's phenomenal, and that would definitely help explain things much better. Do you know what I'm saying?
If you hit this frequently asked questions button, I'll hit it, and it brings up the top 21 questions. And if you click any one of them, it'll take you to a playlist of those questions. And there it is. There's the ODD's clip about that question. And then it has all of the other videos that answer that question are all there. So if somebody asked you, how about circumnavigation, you can pull up some videos, sit down with them and watch it. And you're in business. It also,
share that app real quick, and I will leave a link to it in the comments below after this.
If you go on the Android, the Android App Store or the Apple App Store, and just put in Flat Earth, Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock app, it should be the top hit. And it's super good every day. This has actually been a life sentence to me, because I'm working on this thing every night. Every day I put another relevant video. So this is a video from today. You click it, and bam, right to that video. And each day I do short videos during the week normally.
Your mic dropped out of touch on that last one. Dave, I had no clue. This is phenomenal. And you get great reviews too. That's also, when you wake up in the morning, people normally check the weather app. This is the Dark Sky app. You just click it, brings you to Dark Sky. It has your weather, your local weather breakdown. It's probably the best weather app. So it's super useful that way. Wow, I had no clue.
That's pretty cool,
whatsoever
man.
At
That's
all.
pretty cool.
That is amazing.
Yeah, that's really
what
neat.
what are you, a computer coding dude?
No, listen, I
Just
did
tell
not
a
build
computer
this.
coding dude how to do it.
You can hire people to set it up for you. If you got the idea, you can pay somebody to do it for sure.
Richie, I've been working with a guy in India every night. He comes on at 9 p.m. and gets off at like 10 a.m. my time. So it's only at nighttime that I can work with him every single night since last
Ouch.
November.
Ouch.
Yeah.
That's dedicated. People, you know, everyone complains. Try making a couple of videos a day and then try working on something like this at night. The next thing you know, it's the day's gone. You know what I'm saying? It's no joke, man. I don't.
I keep adding more. I keep adding more and more to the app. It has a compass feature on it because people wanted to be able to line themselves up. So there's the compass. So you can line it up with north and south.
That's a trip. I had no.
I add here's the one.
I forget where I heard it, but I did see this before, and I meant to get it, and I forgot.
I put the zodiac in there so you can see where the sun is in the zodiac, and you can also see where the moon is. The moon changes signs every 3 days or so. Oops.
Dude, that's serious. That is highly squared away. Wow.
Yeah, the zodiac part is pretty cool.
You better hope Trump doesn't bring that guy back from India and ruin everything, because he might. He is spraying healthy chemtrails. You know that, right?
Okay, so this part of the program, this commercial was brought to you by D.I.T.R.H. Down in the rabbit hole. No.
What happened to my camera? I lost my camera for some
What
reason.
happened to this conversation,
Can you guys see me?
man? I thought we were talking. I mean, you guys just took off running, boy. I missed that one altogether. You lost me.
Yeah, but it was. He showed it to me at the beginning, and it was cool. I promise.
Oh yeah, no, the app is awesome. It really is. I want to get it on my phone actually. And on my wife's phone. I think it's a cool thing. Anybody serious about researching these kinds of topics, that's a cool app. That's no joke, and it's affordable. It's not like it's going to kill you to get that. That's really pretty cool. I commend you on that. No kidding. Your camera's off.
It's $2.99, and yeah, I don't know what's going on. Can I jump out and come back in?
Yeah, but I'm going to ask you the same question. Yeah.
Let me jump out and come back in.
Jump back in. Jesus Freak might jump in too. He's lurking in the chats. I saw.
Oh, there you go. There you go. So I wanted to ask him, Richie, though, because we're talking about the demons and things about this Warner von Braun, because you can't study flat Earth and not look into Warner von Braun. Are you back? Are you back?
I am back.
So the reason I brought up Warner von Braun and passed the title over to you, maybe that last 5 seconds was crucial because we missed it. I was pointing these things out because nobody can look into flat Earth without eventually stumbling across Warner von Braun because of his, shall we say, donations to society, if you call it that. But he really was involved in a lot of different things darkly. And so when we see where he come to play and how NASA became a part of play and Antarctica became a part of the play, where we have all the nations signing this agreement to keep everybody out, again, almost like Area 51, you can be shot or just disappeared very casually. So we really don't know what all's going on down there. But ultimately, I was wanting your point of view or your opinion concerning about the demons and the angels, or these things that they were fighting supposedly out there. Are these real in your mind? Do you think Warner von Braun was really conjuring devils or just playing some hocus pocus witchcraft to try and get lucky in the nighttime while he wasn't working on rockets? Or I mean, what's your opinion of that particular man and that society he was coming from into this NASA concept, and how big of a role that really played on the American public, or the whole world for that matter?
I'll give you this answer, and it's just my opinion. Over the last, I'll say 5 years, 5 years ago, I'm like, demons, come on. Every day since then, I've gone farther and farther in the other direction. I believe that they are conjuring something. I believe all the stuff Richie's talking about is very possible. I believe that it goes far deeper than we're even imagining right now. I think that there's all levels of spirits. Like, people have spirits in them, and then people that lose their way allow evil spirits into them. But an evil spirit can't come in and take you unless you allow it in some way. So if you're a lost soul or you've given up your soul, that's when you get what's the word I'm looking for? Possessed.
Possessed, yeah.
Yeah, possessed. I mean, and we have people that have different spirits in them. I believe that we are made up of a lot of spirit. Is it spirit or is it spirits? I'm not sure, but there's different levels and quantities. I believe that we also travel in this realm in spirit groups. Because we come across people again and again, so this is my belief. I don't know how to prove it. But from all of the evidence that I see, the Jack Parsons and Aleister Crowley's and NASA and SpaceX, the stuff that they're doing, it's all spirit based. There's some people like there's a channel called Effed Up World, EFTUP World, that is relating all of the SpaceX stuff to Bible verses, where the lion and the octopus and the beast with 7 heads. And he shows you there's the rocket with 7 heads and how it will lift up from Earth. And I believe that they are conjuring up something. I don't know what it is. That make any sense?
Yeah. Richie?
Well, everybody gives all the credit to Werner von Braun, and I'm showing you right here. This is the guy that was actually the first director of NASA, and his name's T. Keith Glennon. And it's funny because I've never heard of him until the last, I think it was about a month ago. And look what his background just happens to be. He served at various times as a director of a defense-oriented laboratory and an engineer and manager in the motion picture industry, as well as atomic energy and NASA. But I just find it strange that, of course, NASA needed the first guy to come there to work, come straight from the movies, and he also did work with underwater photography, underwater research as well. You know what I'm saying? Everyone puts it right on Werner von Braun, which, I mean, he was the face, which freaks me out that they have an Operation Paperclip Nazi who wasn't just, well, I couldn't help it. I was just no. He had, slaves underground. He was making these people work. He's what we heard about of the Holocaust or whatever actually happened over there. But he got dirty. This dude was dirty. And, that nobody pulls charges on him until after he falls away. And then magically, everyone says he puts the Psalm on his headstone, Psalm 19, that God shows his handiwork through the firmament. I don't think he did that because he was dead. But still, it's a crazy thing to be there because somebody had sway over him because they brought him here. They didn't prosecute him. They put him on the effing Disney Channel. Do you know what I'm saying? But long story short, this guy was actually the first director. And last week I incorrectly said that he wasn't. And he was. So there's that.
So Richie, their need to let us know things in advance. Maybe they made his headstone like that because that's part of, hey, look, we showed you, that this guy, maybe it was in his contract, just like Kubrick had in his contract that 30 years to the day, Eyes Wide Shut had to be released from the moon landings. 30 years to the day in his contract after he's dead, and they did it. So they believe, they have to follow contracts. If you make a contract, you sell your soul to them, they honor that. If you have a contract where they say they're going to do something, they honor it. So these
most part,
people,
I just want to in a minute on what you're saying.
My bottom point is, I don't think that they kill anybody. George Bush didn't kill people. He convinced order followers to go kill other order followers.
No, I don't think he actually hit people with a hammer and such, but he did what he had to do. His hands were not clean whatsoever.
Right.
If you got enough power and all you got to do is make a phone call. Okay.
That's it.
Clean that up, cut the red tape, and let's be done with that group. That's all it takes. Same with Area 51. Let's be done with that group. All we got to do is put a hook in them and drive them out there. Here's an interesting thing I wanted to point out too. I know we're jumping around in those circles, but it gives people a lot of stuff to go on maybe. And I wanted to pose this to you as well. But you remember the video you had played about, we can't go back to the moon, or we can't get to the Van Allen radiation belts. And one of the things that happened in recent years was the event at Fukushima. And it was a nuclear plant where it was a reactor where they had, it was a power plant basically. And the earthquake or whatever tsunami kind of situation that was caused the inner core of that to start doing a meltdown. Now they sent robots in, okay? These robots is the best that Japan had. I think they incorporated from other countries as well. But the robots, the remote control deal, were like so super reinforced, okay? To be able to go into that inner core where this thing is just like open naked, the water's hidden. It's almost like mercury lets off elements. I've worked in a chemical company. And the elements, if you don't keep water over it, as a coolant, or as to keep the fumes down, you can end up inhaling a lot of mercury and losing your mind, and thus the Mad Hatter. But in this situation with Fukushima, with the reactors and the ocean, salt water and all that coming in and out, and it's breaking it, so they had to send people in there. They didn't have the outfits, so they used the robots to see exactly where the leaks were, and maybe they could cover it with concrete or whatnot. And the robots that they sent in, okay, were supposedly so strong that they might even be able to use them as going into the radiation belts, okay, maybe. But they died, those robots, those remote control died after about an hour of being in this environment. They just crashed because of the radiation being so strong. And we're supposed to be able to get phone signals through that radiation to the moon, right? Remember Nixon's phone call? You guys know about that one, right?
I
Really?
Agree.
If we can't get a robot to withstand the radiation for more than an hour in our own little accident called Fukushima, how is it we're sending this aluminum foil stuff that far up there to be able to tell us something that, I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it.
The other thing too, just real quick, Dave. Every time they asked the astronauts about the Van Allen belts, they were all like, well, gee, we don't know. What do you mean? How do you? That would be the major and only concern. And if any of them went through these magical radiation belts that apparently they can just use radio frequencies to completely wipe out and all will be well, according to science, these dudes wouldn't have lived as long as they did whatsoever at all. Just saying. I mean,
so here's my question. Why aren't they wearing spacesuits to go into this area if it can withstand that
good call
kind of deal? Well, they don't. And why don't they use spacesuits, the astronauts, when they do the deep diving? They use things that look like some sort of Lego robot monster, big old bubbles and everything, and it's all so hard. But yet space is supposed to be under high pressure, confined, just like the ocean would be.
So you're touching on a lot of points. Just the thing that Richie said about the Van Allen belts, or whichever one of you said that. We shouldn't be afraid of X-rays or gamma rays or, these cosmic rays. We should be afraid of radio waves because they can go straight from the moon to the White House without any problem. So
no hesitation, no postponement, no big deal.
That's insane. And I used to say it makes perfect sense because they have a clean line of sight.
Funny,
it's not like it has to go through trees. It's just utter nonsense. So the whole story that you told about Fukushima, I don't know what happened at Fukushima. I have my opinion based on all of the research that I've done, but that story came from the mainstream media. I don't believe any of it. Have you ever heard of Galen Windsor? I think that's his name, or Galen Windsor. He's a guy that worked in the nuclear industry.
He was eating radioactive material with no ill effects.
And swimming in the pool. And he was on a tour showing that, nuclear, in my opinion, nuclear power is clean energy. It's a hoax. They're boiling water.
Let me chime in one thing, though. My wife's going through these classes. She's in the medical field. She's going through these classes to extend out X-ray tech as well. And in the X-rays, if you look, and this is simple, this is just our history. With our parents or grandparents probably knew these things. Used to, you could go into the shoe store, and they had an iconograph or whatever.
The X-ray machine there.
The X-ray machine where you can put your foot in and see right there. And it was a phosphorus deal and all this and that. But the people who mainly studied it, the originator of it in the physics department, and the ones who had actually found X-rays and how all that works, and it's really just high electricity. It really is. But it does put off what we called X-ray. They called it an X-ray because the X equaled the unknown. They didn't know what kind to call it. It was just a light ray of sorts, but it was radioactive in the sense that the people that were doing this, they've lost arms, they were losing their eyes. They had to take the stuff out because everybody was getting these massive doses of radiation. We use the same stuff.
They were getting X-rays. They were getting
Yes.
X-rays,
And X-rays are radiation rays. That's
radiation,
true.
but nuclear
Yeah.
power isn't what they're telling us. They're just using
Right.
plutonium that gets hot when exposed to air, and they're boiling water with it. That's all they're doing. It's not.
But I've worked in
fusion.
places with radioactive material, and what I'm trying to explain to you is not everything they say nuclear is nuclear. That's fact.
Correct.
But if it weren't for the nuclear medicine and the breakthroughs with this photons and the understanding of that, I mean, all science isn't wrong. All science isn't bad.
But
it all ain't good either. Most of it's fake.
We don't have any evidence that the robot story was real, that the people going in there and were getting irradiated. Right. It's a story that was told to us. Some of it may be true. I don't believe anything the mainstream media tells us anymore until I have proof. And the more I look into stuff, the more I realize how full of it they are. So,
that's sort of the point of that story.
Go ahead, Richie.
Because that story is proving that we could not have went where they say we had.
Right.
If this is what they're telling.
Basically, that's all. Whether the story's true or not, because we're talking about two stories that probably aren't real at all, but those two stories should counteract, and the sheep still don't get it. How about that?
Yeah. Right. Okay.
How about that? Listen, guys, we're at an hour and a half. I'm old and I got to go to bed, so we're going to cut this short because apparently one of the subscribers already left a comment going, Richie, this has gone on too long. I don't know why you have to do this. I'm leaving. So on that note,
don't
Dave,
let the door hit you where God split you. What's that?
That's right. Do you have anything you got to say before we shut this down?
Yeah, just if you want to listen to, if you're traveling and you don't want to watch YouTube videos, I have the Flat Earth podcast. It's on YouTube. It's on all podcast platforms.
That's brilliant with the playlist, dude. I never even thought of it.
Go to my channel D.I.T.R.H if you can find it. And I have a lot of. Thank you. My videos are short. Most of them are under 5 minutes, 2 minutes. They're short and to the point, and they're helpful. But the app is a great way to show somebody something, and you can share the app with them. You can share the playlists. It's called the Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock app. And if anyone that's listening that has another show, I love doing interviews on shows that don't believe any of this, and they want to ask me questions about flat Earth. So if you have a show or know of a show that's touching on the flat Earth subject, totally doesn't believe it, and wants to have a civil conversation where they could ask me their toughest questions, my email, I'm going to give it out, is info@theflatearthpodcast.com. So anybody that wants to get in touch with me.
Rich will have all the information in the link. I know he's trying to get out. I just want to say, love your neighbor, love one another, pray one for another, 100%. Y'all. Lift each other up. That's what it's about.
Let me just end this with everybody makes mistakes, and nobody's perfect. You see what I'm saying?
That's right. Thanks.
And for all the people talking shit, I'm getting the Flat Earth app because this will help me show something that I couldn't possibly explain because they wouldn't stand there long enough to listen. If you show somebody something on an app, they wake up, and Dave and I have no affiliation other than we both do this. That's it. So at any rate, if the creek don't rise and the good Lord's willing, we'll be back. Richie from Boston, deep inside the rabbit hole, Photohelix. Thank you guys. We are out.